In 2010, 3 engineers incorporated a small company in Israel. Their names appear in public filings and reporting: Shaliv Hulio, Omri Levi, and Niv Karmi. They were technicians first, people who understood, in technical detail, how phones are assembled, how phone service routines run, and what maintenance access looks like when you're meant to repair a handset.
It can access every message you've ever received. It can access every photo, every video, every email.
The turning point came when state actors began to ask for something different. Rather than fix phones, some asked whether those same techniques could be used to read phones, to retrieve messages, capture photos, listen to a microphone, map contacts. The founders had the tools and the know-how. Those conversations shaped the early commercial direction. The company's product, later known to the world as Pegasus, would be marketed to governments as a capability for tracking terrorists and organized crime. The idea was simple and stark. A single program, installed on a handset, could turn it from a personal archive into an intelligence node. The early sales pitch was pragmatic. NSO, the company built from those founders' work, positioned Pegasus as a law enforcement and counter-terror tool. The pitch to buyers was operational. If you had a phone number of a suspect, the system could attempt to get a toehold and then extract data. The company described a vetting process for customers. Critics later said that process was opaque in practice. The essential market dynamic was clear: governments with investigative needs and a vendor with a capability to meet them. Pegasus was not ordinary malware. Its technical design emphasized stealth and breadth, remote, sometimes clickless infection vectors, deep access once installed, and exfiltration of messages, call logs, contacts, photos, and location. For investigators, that access looked like a supercharged search warrant. For targets, it was a total invasion of the device that holds one's life. Early forensic work that surfaced in the public record showed traces of the tool on devices where journalists and activists reported suspicious behavior. Over time, researchers developed methods to detect Pegasus artifacts and began to document infections.
Your phone into something that's spying you all the time in your pocket, which is extremely invasive and extremely dangerous for a lot of activists and journalists.
In July 2021, a massive leak later called the Pegasus Project placed tens of thousands of phone numbers into the public domain for reporting groups to analyze. Journalists and forensic teams cross-checked those numbers and found them associated with a staggering range of people.
This is an industry that should not exist. We're seeing what the NSO group, which is sort of the most famous of these guys, is up to. But the NSO group is only one company of many. And if one company smells this bad, what's happening with all the others?
Investigative reporters, opposition leaders, human rights defenders, business executives. The leak itself did not automatically prove successful infection for every number, but it revealed the target lists governments kept, and that disclosure reframed the story from a technical debate into a human rights crisis. For many of those named, consequences were concrete. Confidential sources were exposed, private communications were exposed to state actors, movements and meetings could be reconstructed from a device's data. Victims reported sudden surveillance behavior, phones behaving oddly, batteries draining, unknown processes appearing. The intimate nature of the device made the harm particularly severe. NSO has consistently defended its model. Pegasus is sold only to vetted government agencies for narrow counterterrorism or law enforcement objectives. Abuses are the fault of clients who misuse the capability. For much of the life of the product, that defense existed in parallel with evidence of questionable customer choices and inconsistent oversight. A powerful tool, lawful purpose, and documented misuse is the central ethical knot. Legal systems began to respond. Rights groups, tech companies, and investigative journalists pushed litigation and regulatory scrutiny. Notably, major lawsuits were filed in multiple countries. In the US, a high-profile case culminated in a jury awarding damages against NSO in the Meta WhatsApp suit, a legal milestone that signaled commercial risk for spyware vendors. European prosecutors and judges opened criminal and civil investigations. In Spain and other jurisdictions, Courts advanced inquiries that reached executives and operators connected to the product. Those cases altered the environment. There are documented instances where intrusive surveillance helped thwart violent plots.
Journalist Jamal Khashoggi walked into the Saudi consulate in Turkey and never came back out. Around the time of his murder, a powerful spyware may have been used to surveil his family.
Pegasus began as an engineering capability and became a political test. The device in your pocket is no longer merely private when third parties can covertly enter it. The debate is no longer only technical, it is civic. Democracies must decide the rules, who may buy offensive tools, under what oversight, and with what penalties for abuse. That choice will determine whether the phone remains a private archive or becomes a permanent instrument of state reach. When private hands can be turned into state listening posts, the question of public life becomes a question of law and of will.